So what'd you think of the new Scream movie? I mean, I liked it all right, I guess. Yeah, I liked it fine. As far as, horror movies that take place in New York are concerned, I'd say it's fairly mid-tier. But I guess when everything's said and done, I still prefer Jason Takes Manhattan. I'm sorry, what? Well, I mean, come on. Movie comes out totally unappreciated in its time. And between you and me, low-key, a masterpiece of horror cinema. Legit elevated horror before elevated horror was even a thing. You have this little boy, this awkward, weird little boy who's picked on, made fun of. He sees his mother murdered and then grows up to become this hulking beast that goes around killing college co-eds. And if you think about it, it's really a perfect examination of trauma. Like, I took this psychology class, right? And they did a full-blown... Sorry, excuse me. This always happens, I apologize. Hello?
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck what you think?
Huh? That's not corn syrup, Johnny. That's not corn syrup. That's not corn syrup, Johnny! Scream 6. It is the 6th installment, if you can even believe it, in the Scream franchise, and is the first fucking film to not feature Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott. And you know what? That's probably the best fucking thing they could do to move this series forward. Hey, if you haven't seen the fucking flick, now's your chance to bail, because I'm gonna spoil some shit. I'm gonna spoil like 85% of the shit. Some shit will be spoiled. Give me the good stuff. The opening. Way to step it up. The setup, genius. Samara Weaving as the Drew Barrymore of the movie, genius. Revealing the killer in the first 5 minutes of the movie, genius. I mean, I for one would have loved the idea of the cat and mouse game being played where you know the actual killer's identity throughout the entirety of the film, but the way they keep the twists coming one after the other right out the gate is really impressive and makes for the best opening sequence since Scream 2. I have never been so excited for a film simply based off of a change of location, and god damn it does this film fucking live up to its promise. And then there's the set pieces, which are bigger and crazier and bolder than anything that has come before. The window sequence, for example. The minute I saw that ladder come out the window, I knew that this was gonna be a Scream scene for the fucking books, man. Then there's a fucking subway sequence. The way the directors build suspense in this scene would make fucking Hitchcock jealous. From the Halloween costumes to the various ghost face masks to the flickering lights and cutting between the two different trains, it is so masterfully crafted and patient that I legit found myself thinking, I cannot believe we are getting a scene like this in a modern day horror movie. Any other horror movie in this day and age would have either rushed it or drawn it out 10 times longer than it needed to be. But Scream 6 manages to create a sequence that horror fans will be talking about for years to come. I legit fell in love with all the returning characters from Scream 5 in this flick. Two specific moments with Sam stuck out to me in this movie. The first is right after the window sequence. Multiple people have died, our leads have barely escaped with their lives, then we smash cut to Sam, who I don't believe we've ever seen smoking before, elbow deep in a goddamn cigarette, which provided an audible, "Yep!" from me in the theater. The other is right after the attack on Gale. In this scene, Sam is so overtaken by guilt and fear that Gale might not pull through that she begins to sob uncontrollably. Melissa Barrera's acting is so fucking good in this scene that it got me choked up. Legit, some of the most believable crying I have ever seen in a horror movie. What is there to say about Jenna Ortega that hasn't already been said? She was the best new addition to Scream 5. She steals every scene that she's in, and she delivers a pitch perfect drunk performance in the beginning of the film. Hot take. Kirby is the best character in the Scream franchise outside of Sidney, Dewey, and Gale. And I'm just as head over heels for that little blonde babe as I was 12 years ago, so seeing her back in action was worth the price of admission. Then there's the finale of the film. The reveal of the 3 killers.
Fuck yes! They finally did it!
And their motivations is so cathartic and clever that it not only makes for a satisfying reveal for this flick, but also improves the conclusion of the previous film. And now it's time to talk about the shit. Dermot Mulroney, who I typically love for his subtlety, dials it all the way up to 11.5 once he is revealed as the killer. I mean, I low-key kind of dig the looniness of it all, but his performance is so outlandish that it borders on comical. To piggyback on that, there's a high-intensity scene in the finale of the film where Sam runs out of bullets and charges Detective Bailey. That's even his real name. And he charges her right back, but he's still carrying a gun loaded with bullets and simply chooses not to shoot Sam? Far be it from me to talk trash about anyone's murdering game, just seems like an odd choice not to shoot the gal if the overall plan of the whole flick is to kill the gal. The fuck do I know? Speaking of main characters not getting killed, no main character bites it in this movie. It would have been overkill if they killed Gale. Would have been pissed, not happy about it. That's a big no-go from the Johnny Horror Show. But Mindy or Chad should have not survived. For fuck's sake, how many stabs does it take to kill a dude in this universe? Go ahead and give me that rewatch. For a 2-hour movie, this shit fucking moves. It's slick, it's funny, it's aggressive as fuck. When motherfuckers aren't being murdered to death, you're either getting witty dialogue or heartfelt character development. This is up there with the most rewatchable of slashers. Ambitious, unpredictable, and above all, entertaining as fuck! Not only is this a welcome addition to the franchise, but it opens the doors for bigger, bolder, wackier, and more ambitious entries in the series. I, for one, would be perfectly happy if they ended the Scream story right here. They're gonna make more flicks. But I'm telling you, man, Scream 6 managed to tie everything up in a nice little bow and end that shit with a fucking bang. Literally! Well, that about does it for this episode of the Johnny Horror Reviews. I'm your host, Johnny Horror, here to remind you crazy kiddos to be good to one another, be half-decent human beings, and don't answer the phone. You know, unless it's like your top 5 people. Your wife, your husband, your mom, your child, your best friend. Don't answer it if it's a phone number you don't know. Don't answer it if it's a phone number you do know. Just text. Don't answer it if it's work. Especially don't answer it if it's work. Tell your work to go fuck themselves.